Good morning, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Jays Latest. I am your host, Craig Borden, and we're going to talk all things trade deadline and the crazy that has been happening in the Toronto Blue Jays fun the last few days. So let's all talk trade deadline first, because first we get to talk about where in the world Eugenio Suarez is going. And I'm actually shocked. I am very, very surprised that he is actually going to Seattle. They haven't announced who he's being traded for. Jeff Passan, loving the fact that it's a report trade at midnight last night here on the East Coast. Eugenio Suarez has been traded and dealt to the Seattle Mariners. Package will probably include mostly prospects, but at the end of the day, clearly the Seattle Mariners are all in at this point. They're moving the strike. They want to win. It is what it is. I just hope we don't run into them in the playoffs once again and have the issues that we had the last time we played the Seattle Mariners. But this team does look like they're a lot tighter than the team that was previously that choked against the Seattle Mariners and did not win a playoff game. So, but that being said, the Blue Jays obviously have some work to do, and there has been a frenzy of stuff yesterday on Wednesday, 7:30, 2025. Closers has been the trade deadline crazy so far, as everybody seems like it. The Phillies got the best closer on the trade market in Johan Duran. Still shocked that the Twinkies actually let him go. We're gonna hear the Undertaker bells apparently in Citizen Bank Ballpark with the Phillies as they go to look for the push for the playoffs here too. Watching the Mets load up is 100% probably the big reason that the Phillies are doing what they're doing, because Ryan Helsley is also joined the Mets as they're building out a monster in the back end of that bullpen. Because not only did they grab Helsley yesterday in a trade, they went after Tyler Rogers yesterday as well, and his brother went to, funny enough, another team too. I think the Cubbies. It's been crazy. And this is still not saying the Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly's, David Bednar's, possibly Stephen Kwan, everything else that's been going on. And somebody's going to sneak in something weird here before the end of the trade deadline as well. And because of this highlight behind me that you just saw a moment ago, Shohei Ohtani might be hurt. So are the Dodgers going to all of a sudden get in right into this trade deadline, who have been eerily quiet for the team that is known for quote unquote ruining baseball by taking all the talent? I still think that's crazy. It's still just what it is. But to that point, the Blue Jays are still sniffing around to try and grab Stephen Kwan, some of these guys from the Pirates that might actually help their starting rotation or relief core. Sir Anthony Dominguez, if you hadn't read his Toronto Blue Jay trade from the Baltimore Orioles, that was the day before. Their only main acquisition at this point. But the Blue Jays could be getting some reinforcements soon. It sounds like Dalton Varsho might actually play on Friday for the Toronto Blue Jays in the outfield, so that's another piece. Jimmy Garcia is potentially coming back soon as well. So there's a good volley of things that could, land in the right place here for the Blue Jays, along with some of these trade deadline acquisitions. I still think they're going to do something before the end of the night tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on 7:31 Thursday is when the trade deadline is. So we got a little bit of time here it's just 7 o'clock, so we got just under 12 hours as of me recording this episode. So on that note, let's talk about yesterday, because the Blue Jays finally won a game and snapped their 4-game losing streak. In not the prettiest of fashions, I'll admit that. When you win 9-8 and you commit 2 errors, I think that's just called luck, and you squeeze something out of that. Ernie Clement had 2 errors early in this game that allowed a few extra non-earned runs for Jose Barrios, who looked, but the healthy lineup for the Baltimore Orioles is actually been quite impressive. Ryan O'Hearn was also traded yesterday after that, so he's went to the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Brew Crew adding on where people thought they might subtract, which I still thought was hilarious. We'll see if they continue that trend before the end of the day. Dean Creamer pitching for the Baltimore Orioles, allows 3 earned runs on 6 hits. The Blue Jays staying in the thick of it after the Baltimore Orioles jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first inning. Typical stuff. Allie Rushman getting a sac fly with some key pieces, and then I mentioned Ryan O'Hearn hit his 13th home run and apparently gave every Orioles fan a nice little send-off. In the second, Miles Straw decides that it's time to get back in this game a little bit with Addison Barger on. He hits a 2-run blast and gets things moving. His swing is just something to me when he hits a home run. He just kind of looks like he doesn't wrap up completely. He just kind of stops in the, like golf swing ballpark. And Vlad in the 5th inning gets a couple in. Just one. Ali Sanchez scores. Look at this highlight, because during watching this game, he just kind of flung the bat at it. It looked more like his dad than Vlad Jr. So, Jordan Westberg puts the Orioles back on top a little bit further with another home run. Once again, 2-run blast puts them up 5-0. Miles Straw still continuing to do Miles Straw things is for this team, playing like he doesn't want to lose that spot in the lineup. Scores Davis Schneider on a double. Kind of bounced off the scoreboard in right field. Nice opposite field power. Bo Bichette continues to get RBIs, driving in Joey Loperfido in the 7th. And then Nathan Lucas pinch hitting. This is what I love about this team. You get contribution all the time, everywhere. Nathan Lucas hits a 3-run home run to put the Blue Jays up for a pretty decent lead in this game. 9-5 after that home run, but things don't stop there, because the Orioles, like I said, are finally healthy at the dish and starting to look like the team that they could be for next season. Gunnar Henderson gets an RBI single. Adley Rushman, once again, picks up another ribby. Colton Cowser walks in a run, so on forth. Now it's this close, 9-8. And finally, Jeff Hoffman in the bullpen put the nail in the coffin, pick up a save. Jeff Hoffman with his, I think it was his 25th save. Sir Anthony Dominguez pitched his 2nd day in a row against his former team right before that, setting up Jeff Hoffman, which looks very nice, by the way. 2 strikeouts for him. Looked really good. 3.09 ERA. And yeah, Yariel Rodriguez was the one that came in and gave up a few of those extra runs, which is saying something, seeing he's been also pitching really, really well lately. But he probably is, like Hoffman, been a little overused. So, Blue Jays don't play again till Friday, everybody. So today, we all get to sit back and wait for Toronto Blue Jays trade news. So hopefully there is some big splash here that comes to fruition, and we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, I'm still hoping that we're trading somebody, and I don't even give a crap if we fight at a farm for getting, Ranger Suarez is apparently available for the Padres. We have Kwan being dangled out there too. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and I think the teams that were tipping on the do I sell or do I not have tipped into sellers, because this trade market has been insane for the prospect return that has been going back. I really think that some of those teams are going to just move through it and go scrounge up a bunch of minor league players and just run into things for the next year or so, which to that point right now could play into the Blue Jays' favor. But if you want to hear about what we were chit-chatting about on the Jay Bird Watching podcast, and I think this is also relevant for the trade deadline. Last night on the Jay Bird Watching, we talked about the upcoming CBA and what that could look like. In there, that already Bryce Harper's throwing Rod Manfred out of the locker room during his meet up with his players and stuff. He has not been to Toronto yet to talk to what is inevitably going to be a fiery conversation with Max Scherzer in that same locker room, thinking just like Bryce Harper, Manfred's pushing a salary cap for baseball. And if that's the truth, there is going to be a strike or a lockout in the near future. And it's going to be one of those things that maybe some of these teams that are pushing their chips into the table want to win one before that happens. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see the Blue Jays just push all the chips into the table and just run with it this year, because this is just the opportunity to capitalize on something special, and we've seen it. And coming back from the deficit that they were in the American League East, and then taking the division, so just wild from literally flip flop to first. All right, Blue Jays fans, make sure you tune in here every day. We'll have all the Major League Baseball trade deadline rumors along with prep for tomorrow's weekend series against the Kansas City Royals right here on James Latest. So make sure you tune in. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Go Blue Jays.